firmly standing as the cultural vanguard of West Java, Indonesia, nourishing the intellectual life of the nation, working for the benefit of the global world. This is Universitas Padjadjaran. Inspired by the vision of the Asia-Africa Conference, attended by representatives of 24 countries, the establishment of the university was the realization of the vision of the cultural figures of West Java to found an institution of higher learning in the cosmopolitan city, to educate and set forth to society dedicated and qualified individuals. Today, UNPAD has broadened its wings to encompass various disciplines and multidisciplinary academic endeavors through the efforts of 16 faculties and 1 postgraduate school. To achieve its mission to build the capacity to adapt and innovate in the face of the rapid development of science and technology at the international level, UNPAD is determined to become the center of research and innovation for the good of the nation and the world by continuously nourishing research and developing technology to create innovations in various disciplines. Currently, 36,000 students are registered at UNPAD, and more than 200 international students are registered in different programs, degree and non-degree. As an effort to constantly improve the quality of education, Universitas Padjadjaran is supported by approximately 2,100 professional faculty members with reputable qualifications. To achieve the goals of its mission, UNPAD has also established notable research centers which demonstrate serious commitment to and focus on achievements in a number of strategic fields such as the Center for Sustainable Development Goal Studies, the Center for Environmental and Sustainability Sciences, the Academic Health System, the Center for the Digitalization and Development of Sundanese Culture, the Center for Innovation and Pharmaceutical Services, the Center for Nanotechnology and Graphene Research, to name a few. Equipped with a central science laboratory network and a science and technology complex in the Center for the Development of Science and Technology on the main campus, Universitas Padjadjaran has risen in its role as a leader in higher learning geared towards innovation. UNPAD also fosters collaboration with other institutions involving all stakeholders.
Universitas Padjadjaran commits in providing benefit and service for the good of humanity and the preservation of the environment. This is a great enterprise which cannot be done alone. UNPAD believes that in the spirit of collaboration, this vision may be achieved. We invite you who have the same vision, a good intention to care for human life and the environment all over the world, to work with us, build collaborations, create a better world together.
Universitas Padjadjaran grew out of the community and has made it its duty to give back not only in the form of the dissemination of knowledge and information, but also through socially responsible activities such as student fieldwork, community outreach programs, and action research seeking to make direct impact on the community. With its feet firmly grounded in the local communities and environment, UNPAD is also making great efforts to take steps towards internationalization. It offers special programs for international students to maintain its global network and make its strategic and reputable place on the world map of higher education. As a site for the personal development of young minds and bodies, UNPAD supports a wide variety of student activities. UNPAD also provides students with libraries with an extensive collection of books, periodicals, and study materials, comfortable dormitories, health and fitness services, free on-campus transportation, and other supporting facilities which UNPAD continuously upgrades and improves. While being committed internationally recognized quality research, UNPAD maintains also its dedication in preserving traditional cultures as the compass for all of UNPAD's activities on and off campus. As of now, UNPAD have set forth unto society 200,000 graduates in various fields of work, including strategic government sectors and crucial multinational industries. Works for the good of society, bringing innovations and sincere contributions to humanity. Universitas Pajajaran, the pride of West Java, working for the benefit of the global world.
Greetings from Transcendent 2021, massive open online course in a cleft lip and palate held by Faculty of Dentistry, Universitas Pajajaran, Indonesia, collaborating with Smart Trend and Indonesia Cleft Center has been going on for a few weeks. My name is Raisha. I'm the Master of Ceremony of today's live discussion. I'm also a student from Faculty of Dentistry, Universitas Pajajaran, Indonesia. Since we came from different countries, so I think it's appropriate to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for everyone here. Greetings for Professor Oluranti O daCosta, Professor at College of Medicine, University of Lagos, Nigeria. Hello, Professor.
Okay. Hello. How are you?
Yes,
It's
hello.
very nice to be here. It's
Yeah,
morning in
I'm great.
Nigeria. I know it's
Okay.
evening in Indonesia.
Yes, it's actually evening in Indonesia. So good morning, Prof.
How are you?
Thank you for
Good
giving
morning.
your time here. I hope you're doing well.
Yep, we thank God, yes.
We
We're
also
doing well.
have Dr. Erli Sarilita, M.Sc, Ph.D, a lecturer of Faculty of Dentistry, Universitas Pajajaran, Indonesia, as our moderator. Thank you, Doctor. We don't forget to greet all participants here. Thank you for the excitement for learning about cleft lip and palate, and thank you for attending today's live discussion session. So, Professor, today is actually our fourth live discussion in the fifth week. This week, we are learning about challenges of cleft surgeries in low and middle income countries during the COVID-19 pandemic, impact of COVID-19 on cleft surgery in the year 2020, orthodontic treatment, and also orthodontic surgery. In today's live discussion, we are going to discuss about orthodontic treatment with Professor Oda Costa. This live discussion will be separated into two sessions. So for the first session, Professor daCosta will answer the question that have been filled out by the participants in the MOOC website. The question will be presented on the screen later on. And then after that, for the second session, we will also accept more questions from the participants. The participants here can ask the question directly to Professor or through the chat section. The participants should write down the question, their name, and where they are coming from. So, Professor daCosta, for your information, the participants have already watched your lecture about this topic. But I think not everyone can make it into today's live discussion, but I'm pretty sure that more than 300 participants from around the world that have registered into our course have watched your lectures video as well. Also this live discussion Zoom recording will be also available in OOC website, so the participants can access this video later on in case they cannot make it today. So for the first session, I would like to give the spotlight to Dr. Erli Sarilita as our moderator and Professor daCosta as our speaker. Dr. Erli may start the first session and lead today's live discussion. Thank you so much. We can move on into the first session.
Okay, thank you, Raisa. Good morning, Professor. How are you?
Morning. I'm very well. Thank you so much, Erli. And thank you for giving me the honor of being able to speak to your students. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Professor. We have a variety of students in our online course, from the undergrads, the specialized dentistry students, and then even PhD students as well, from variety of background as well, from dentistry, medicine, and other major. So, Professor, your topic today is orthodontic treatment for cleft lip and palate patients. That is a really important aspect of the multidisciplinary treatments that should be given to the cleft lip and palate patients. The participants in the online course already watched your lecture and they posted some questions which are already uh, organized here by our students. So, Kamati, can you help me to display the question for Professor to read? Okay. So we have here a question from Maulida Famtahani from Universitas Pajajaran. She asked, when is the most effective time for cleft patient to get orthodontic treatment, Professor?
Okay. Orthodontic management of the cleft lip and palate actually starts at birth. So the best time to start with management would actually be at birth. But not all centers actually carry out the treatment that is carried out at birth. And at birth, what we normally do is we carry out what is called pre-surgical infant orthopedics. In pre-surgical infant orthopedics, what we're trying to do is reduce the size of large clefts, and often in patients that have bilateral cleft lip and palate, reduce the prominence of the premaxillary area of those clefts prior to the patient undergoing primary surgery. So orthodontic treatment is divided, for the deaf patient, is actually divided into 4 stages. The first stage being at birth. So 0 to 2 years, and then we go on to mixed dentition stage, permanent dentition stage, early and late. And occasionally, when needed, we treat patients in the primary dentition stage.
Okay, thank you, Professor. So the orthodontic treatment begins from birth, yeah, through the pre-surgical infant orthopedics. Yeah. Okay. Next question, committee, please. Okay, this one question from Mutiara Azahra, Universitas Pajajaran. Pre-surgical orthopedics could give some advantages to cleft patients, yet it could be a burden to the patients and family, especially who live far away from the cleft center, so that many patients ended up not finishing the pre-surgical orthopedics treatment. How do you manage this problem in your center? Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mutiara. I hope I said that well for your question. Now, pre-surgical infant orthopedics will always be controversial. So it's not all centers that believe in it. Pre-surgical orthopedics has just started in earnest in our center. We used to do it very simply. We would give patients strapping and we'd send them away. That was more convenient for them. Now we ask the patients to Now we construct NAM appliance, that is nasoalveolar molding appliances, for patients that have that need. And it's not all patients that have that need. So it's not all patients that require pre-surgical orthopedics to start with. Now, for us, it's mainly a matter of enlightening the patient, educating them on the advantages of making the effort. Most of our patients, I have to admit, actually live a long way from the center. Thanks to Smile Train, we do get patients, patients can be subsidized in terms of the cost of transport coming in and out. If not, if we have patients that find it extremely inconvenient, then we may send them away for longer than they normally would go. We will probably increase the amount of activation that we place on the appliance and send the patient away for a longer period of time while following up. Now, the beauty of having things like WhatsApp is that you can communicate with the patient without the patient actually being in front of you. But any activation actually will require the patient coming in. So as much as possible, we pay for transport if we have to pay for transport. If the patient is indigent, we will pay for transport. And if not, we will increase the activation and reduce the number of times that the patient has to come into the clinic.
Yes, okay, Professor. So different cases will need different approach, yeah, Professor?
Yes.
Okay, next question, please. Okay, from Kanza, yeah, from Kanza Zahira, Universitas Pajajaran. What challenges are often faced in orthodontic treatment if the CRP patient has class 3 malocclusion?
Well, the problem with that is not unusual in a patient that has clefts. They often, by the time they get to early permanent stage, they do have retruded maxillas. And of course, we know that that's as a result of both treatments and the inborn defect itself. Now, I think our main challenge is, one, to ensure that the patient is in it for the long haul. But because we have an issue with Smile Train, so when we have patients that have severe restriction of maxillary growth and therefore they have a severe reversed bite, then we have to look for options. Now, under Smile Train, we're not allowed for the patient to be carried, for us to carry out orthognathic surgery at adult stage. So we have to look for ways of getting around it. And what we're doing at this point is trying to set up patients to go through distraction osteogenesis. So distraction osteogenesis is one of the ways that we're now managing patients that have severe retrusion.
Okay, so for severe retrusion in class 3 malocclusion, you usually use the osteogenesis distraction. Okay, yeah.
Distraction osteogenesis, what we are used, because we are not allowed under Smile Train yet to carry out, and surgery actually has to be carried out much later in life, in later permanent dentition.
Okay. So we have here next question from Farah Shakira, Universitas Pajajaran. What are the things that need to be considered when choosing between rapid and slow expander appliances for the patients? And which expander appliance do you prefer to use the most?
I happen to use both. The slow expander I use more than the rapid expander. And some of the things I take into consideration is the degree of constriction of the arch and the inclination of the standing teeth. Now, if the teeth are already fully inclined buccally, then using a slow expander will just tip them further buccally, because the slow expander is effective by tipping of the teeth, whereas a rapid expander, of course, brings about skeletal changes. So if I have a patient that has arch constriction and the teeth are already maximally inclined buccally, then I'm likely to use a rapid expander. And usually also in cases where there are actually severe constriction, I'm more likely to use a rapid expander than a slow expander. The advantage of the slow expander, like say the quad helix, it gives me the kind of opening in the V shape, which correlates to the constriction of the arch and the correction that you want to effect. Whereas you get a more symmetrical expansion with the rapid expander. And so you find yourself now having to contour the arch at the end of expansion.
Thank you, Professor. We have here orthodontic residents here with us. I'm sure they'll really benefit from your lecture. Next question, committee. Okay, we have questions from the chat box. Dr. Andrew Lauren, I know that he's the orthodontic resident in our university. Maybe Dr. Andrew can ask the question himself and open the camera and meet Professor daCosta. Okay. Okay, Dr. Andrew. How are you, Doctor?
Fine, Dr. Erli.
Yeah, so you can introduce yourself to Professor daCosta and ask the question.
Okay. Hi, Prof. daCosta. I am Andrew.
Hi, Dr.
I am the last year orthodontic resident in Universitas Pajajaran nowadays.
All right.
Okay. I am very appreciate can join this live discussion with you directly. And I have some question about NAM appliance.
Okay.
Okay. First, are there any guidelines for using NAM appliance in white cleft patients? And do you usually to use the acrylic plate first to close the cleft side and then continue with the nasal stand after that?
Yes, that's what we do. We first of all use the oral appliance and close the appliance, sometimes it doesn't get as small as 5 millimeters, but you close it extensively before you now make the nasal stent and then use the nasal stent to shape and mold the cartilage of the nose.
Okay, nice. And is it NAM suitable for using in white cleft patients?
We do use it for wide cleft patients. We actually, those are the patients that we indicate it for, those and patients that have bilateral clefts. Smaller clefts, we usually use something a little simpler, like...
Okay, thank you. And the second question is, are there any consideration if we should be cautioned for moving the teeth in the alveolar bone graft area?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Are there any consideration that should be cautioned for moving the teeth in the alveolar bone graft area?
Are you talking about during NAM use?
No, in the mixed dentition one.
Okay, mixed dentition. Yes, of course there are considerations. You really, we want to make as much space as we can prior to alveolar bone grafting. So the timing depends on when you want to do it. But if there are teeth within that graft area, sometimes we find ourselves having to remove them before we go ahead to do the bone grafting. You know, a lot of the time when we deal with patients that have clefts, they often have retained deciduous teeth. So we do try and remove teeth within that cleft area before we start.
And how about the bone quality in the alveolar bone graft area if we want to place some mini screw to correct like the class 3 malocclusion? Is it any differences with the area without the bone graft one?
Well, in this institution, we tend to use a cancellous bone from the hip. So, and I don't think there's a change. We don't change. I don't do alveolar bone grafting. Of course, I'm not an oral surgeon, but the same bone, the same type of bone is used regardless of what the future plans are. All patients are planned with doing the best, making the best possible, or bringing about the best possible outcome for the alveolar bone graft. So we do mainly cancellous bone from the hip, with the hope that if the patient will need an implant, then the bone quality will be adequate.
Okay, and the long term of the mini screw is same for the bone graft area and without the bone graft area? Have the same bone quality for the successful of the mini screw placement?
I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and at the same time, I'm read your statement. How long should we wait for the mini screw placement after bone graft? Well, I would wait. I can't tell you most definitely, but I would wait at least 3 months before I try putting in a mini screw after alveolar bone grafting.
Okay. And the last question I want to know about regarding to correct the class 3 malocclusion in
Yes.
patient with orthodontic surgery. How we consider to do the bimaxillary surgery, or only to protrude the maxillary?
Maxilla. Yes. So the question you're asking is what's going to define my decision to do single arch or bimaxillary surgery? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, it would really depend on the amount of correction I need. If I have a patient that has an overjet of minus 10 millimeter, I'm not going to achieve it just by moving the maxilla forward. I would have to move the maxilla forward and move the mandible backward in order to get a more stable result. So if it's an extensive class 3, then, or a severe class 3, then I will probably find myself asking the surgeons, because I will not do it myself, I'm an orthodontist, to carry out bimaxillary surgery.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation, Professor daCosta.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Professor. And also thank you, Dr. Andrew, for your questions. I hope that we all learn from Dr. daCosta here today that cleft patient will need orthodontic treatments, and then we are here to study it. Yeah, from Dr. daCosta. Thank you, Dr. daCosta, for your time, for sharing your knowledge with our students. I'm hoping that one day we can meet face to face, maybe in Indonesia or maybe in your place.
Oh, I'd love to come to Indonesia.
Thank you, Professor. So now,
am I allowed to leave?
Yeah, and then we will close it with MC first, Raisa, and then Raisa will take a picture of all of us together, Professor.
All right.
Raisa?
Okay. I think we have reached the end of today's live discussion. It was such a great opportunity for all of us hearing all the valuable knowledge from Professor Oluranti O daCosta. thank you, Dr. Erli, for moderating this session. In these hard times of pandemic, we can still find the bright sides, and I believe that this will be an inspiration for all of us to learn cleft, lip, and palate more and more, even further, to implement the best treatment for our future cleft patients. For all the participants, please don't forget to join 6 week live discussion. And before we end today's session, maybe we can take a picture. And for all of the participants here, please turn on the camera. I will have to count. And the committee will screenshot the Zoom meeting.